In honor of this proclamation, we are gathered here today for the inaugural Katiba Day Summit. This summit brings together distinguished participants, including the Mashujaa wa Katiba, the heroes of our constitutional journey, members of the National Executive, leaders of Parliament and the judiciary, county governors, holders of independent offices, chairpersons and commissioners of constitutional commissions, members of the diplomatic corps, chairpersons and chief executive officers of state corporations, representatives of the business community, the Interfaith Council, civil society organizations, and representatives from professional bodies across the country. I confirm that indeed we have the representation of all these stakeholders present, and therefore we are duly constituted to progress this commemoration. Accordingly, it is now my distinct honor and high privilege to officially call this national ceremony to order as we mark the first Katiba Day. On this very date, in the year 2010, the people of Kenya turned a defining chapter in the history of our nation. We gather here not only to commemorate the moment, but to reflect upon it and to rededicate ourselves to the covenant that redefined our collective destiny as a nation, a covenant that binds past, present, and future generations in pursuit.
Thank you. Wapinduru, wapinduru. Haya DJ, unajua ukifanya hiyo kitu ni baya. Weka kidogo, si ndio? Haya twende kazi, weka makofi. Weka makofi. Luka. Luka, Luka. Luka, Luka, tumia tugebu. Wabinduru ya Professor Kizule Kindiki. Thank you DJ, thank you. Thank you, thank you DJ, God bless you. Wabinduru ya Professor Kizule Kindiki.
Progress this commemoration. Accordingly, it is now my distinct honor and high privilege to officially call this national ceremony to order as we mark the first Katiba Day.
While the 1963 Constitution was driven by the voices of dominant political parties, the 2010 Constitution was driven by the voices of masses of people from the grassroots, blending it with the voices of the leaders who were holding office at that time. Mr. President, we are also lucky. Our Constitution sets a very clear hierarchy of the priorities of the nation. And that is the preamble we've just listened to, and that has just been replayed here. That preamble summarizes the national priorities. Those priorities are structured in terms of who calls the shots in our country. if you look at that preamble, the people assert themselves as the supreme human, the highest supreme human organ of constitution making. Unlike the 1963 Constitution, which had concepts like the supremacy of parliament and other concepts which have been overtaken by events today. Interestingly, Your Excellency, I have noted as a student of constitutional law that the same preamble, the people asserting themselves as the highest constitution-making organ, the people, they do recognize two things: that this nation exists subject to a higher authority, the Almighty God of all creation. That part is normally left a lot in constitution making, especially in analyzing the structure of our constitution. But the preamble also has told us downstream, the people who are the highest human constitution making organ have delegated most of what they would be doing themselves to organs of states and to the levels of government that are represented here. Both the organs of state, the three arms of government, and the two levels of government. Your Excellency, that preamble also helps us to understand our national values. We respect the individual, the family, the community, and the nation. That hierarchy again of the units that constitute our nation are spelled out there. The other feature, Your Excellency, again summarized in the preamble and elaborated in the many chapters, the 18 chapters that follow, is the feature that talks about intergenerational responsibilities and equity between generations. And the Constitution asserts that no generation is superior than the other. There are obligations of the present generation to future generations in perpetuity. The national values, the rule of law, democracy, social justice, and even environmental justice. Again, it is spelled out in the preamble.
So when we speak about political goodwill, it is the will of everybody who is holding leadership position. Every time we speak about political goodwill, we look at the president at the top. But all of us who are leaders are called upon to support the implementation of the Constitution. The fourth one is public vigilance. When people go to court and fault the government, it raises eyebrows. However, we think that is a very good thing because that is the only time that the Attorney General and the petitioner are together. The principles are the same. Then why do we sometimes object to those applications or petitions? It is because we believe in the same principle, but the facts that support the principle could be different. So all of us support independence and accountability. The institutions represented that will speak this afternoon must carry the burden of delivering services to the people of this great republic, even as they bathe in the high-minded ideas of independence, separation of powers, checks and balances that are so well elucidated in our progressive constitution. These are not concepts introduced to invite division or supremacy battles between manning organs and institutions of the state. Rather, they are grand ideas necessary for the proper functioning of a modern democratic state such as ours. The success of Kenya will ultimately be measured by the success and health of our constitution and our demonstrable respect for the totality of what it stands for, what it promises, and what it delivers. In my view, it is the realization of the Bill of Rights in its full gamut, social, economic, political, and cultural elements that provides the ultimate touchstone. As the Attorney General, I'm honored to steward this reflection segment on Katiba Day Constitution Act 15. Today marks not only a celebration, but a moment of honest stock-taking. Our Constitution has anchored democracy, human rights, and the rule of law, and has redefined the relationship between citizen and state. It calls us to integrity in governance, inclusion of all voices, fidelity to public service, and accountability in the exercise of power. At 15, the Constitution challenges us to deepen its promise, to guard against complacency, and to remember that each institution is only as strong as the trust it inspires. This is why we pause today to hear directly from the custodians of our constitutional order how far we have come, what lessons we must heed, and where we must go. In my conclusion, while reflecting on the theme of this day, which is Katiba at 15 years, our covenant, our promise, our future, I would then pose the following questions to Kenyans to have a deeper, sincere, and honest reflection. I'm a human being, I could be wrong. And no human being is beyond repair. The first question, is devolution working as was envisaged by the framers of our Constitution? The second question, why is there more wastage of public resources at the county level as observed by the Auditor General in the various reports, yet there are more accountability mechanisms, checks and balances institutions established at both national and county level? The third question, why would we allow the electoral cycle after every 5 years to be the determinant of the calls for constitutional reforms? The fourth question, is it then time for us to audit, review and evaluate the Constitution to see whether it is working or not working as intended by the framers of our Constitution? We have 4 major interventions as the Office of the Attorney General, and in our pursuit of the full realization of constitutional gains, the Office of the Attorney General has initiated a series of interventions designed to bring the Constitution closer to the daily lives of the people. When I was being sworn in, His Excellency the President challenged me about access to justice, decentralization. Access to justice is in the Constitution, but it is not self-implementing. It has to be invoked. How do the people invoke it if there are no equality of arms? So the Office of the Attorney General is operationalizing legal aid and public defender, which is already housed at the Department of Justice. And on the 1st of November, Your Excellency, the Office of the Attorney General will operationalize legal aid in all the 47 counties, with the 2 state attorneys giving legal aid to indigent at the county level. We have already employed 90 state counsel. They have gone through Kenya School of Government. Graciously, the Chief Justice is interning them for 2 months. We will pilot children in conflict with the law. That is criminal because of their liberty, probate and administration, and land cases. If we do well, we will justify, enhance budgetary allocation so that we can broaden the subject matter and enhance the capacity of the OAG. Secondly, when I took office, we were in 13 counties. I'm happy to report, as required under the Constitution, that each government organ must be in every county level. We are now at 33 counties, and by the end of this year, we hope to be in all the 47 counties. To enhance constitutionalism, to sensitize the public, and as part of legal aid education and information, the Office of the Attorney General in a month's time will unveil Human Rights and Rule of Law Training Chamber on 8th floor, where we hope to sensitize and educate all of us on our human rights, on our rule of law responsibilities and rights under the Constitution. An informed citizen of the law will be a better citizen and a law-abiding citizen. The 4th intervention is digitization for purposes of transparency and accountability. The Office of the Attorney General is fully digitizing all the public-facing departments. His Excellency the President challenged all cabinet secretaries, and we were asked, how do you carry the people with you? I believe that by these 4 initiatives, we will justify how we are carrying Kenyans with us as the custodians of your rights rule of law, and human rights. As the chief legal advisor to government, the Constitution provides the bedrock against which we discharge our mandate. It is our North Star. When we provide advice to all organs of government, our focus is on promoting fidelity to the Constitution and practice of constitutionalism. The arms of government need to recognize that they are cogs in the same wheel. The successful implementation of the Constitution requires a cooperative and collaborative approach to governance, one that seeks to respect the architecture of the Constitution and the sovereignty of the people. The Attorney General's office will continue to be the defender of the rule of law, a faithful dispenser of legal advice and protection of the public interest in all its work, whether it is court representation, review of legal documents, legal aid, legislative proposal development, or legal advice. As we mark the 15th anniversary of the 2010 Constitution, we celebrate the sacrifices made by Kenyans to get the documents. We recognize the responsibilities bestowed upon the Attorney General in ensuring deepening of constitutional democracy, and we commit to always be guided by the Constitution in supporting the people of Kenya, the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature in our continued quest to implement the social contract faithfully. For all those in the panel today that will speak after me, let us reflect on how best we can enhance collaborative engagements and increased adherence to the constitutional principles and requirements in a manner that promotes harmony and sustainable development.
I am the first to concede, and I've said this and I've conceded it in public, that I don't think we are doing well in Parliament, especially the 13th Parliament. I am not here to apologize. But just like all other branches, there are successes, but there's work to be done. At least in our favor, 15 years down the line, we still have a bicameral parliament. 15 years down the line, we've held elections regularly. We are still able to vet. We are even able to impeach, as we recently did. So at least it is there. But there are two problems that I see. One is historical, and one is institutional. The historical one, Chair, you will remember, is the problem between the National Assembly and the Senate. In the Committee of Experts, we had designated the Senate as the upper house. You who were in Parliament then decided that we did not need a Senate and removed it. When it came to us, given the historical experience that we had in this country, we decided we needed a Senate at least to protect devolution. So unfortunately, all the powers we had given to the Senate were removed, and we left the Senate with a threadbare role of protecting devolution and taking care of the interest of the devolved units. Very little. And ultimately, therefore, with the subsequent interpretation by the Supreme Court and all, there remains sibling rivalry between the Senate and the National Assembly, and sometimes it becomes a problem for Parliament as Parliament. That is historical. The institutional one is one of our creation, and it was created before I joined Parliament. We changed, the Committee of Experts had proposed a parliamentary system. Members of Parliament, in their wisdom, in Naivasha, changed it to a presidential system. And so we had to make things to adopt to that presidential system. Whatever we made to adopt to the presidential system does not seem to have been reflected in the structure of politics. So that what we have now is you have members of Parliament from the party that is in the executive, and because they are the majority in Parliament, they call themselves government. You have members of Parliament from the minority who call themselves opposition. Members of Parliament are yet to learn that there is no government or opposition inside of Parliament. There is only the majority and the minority, and collectively, we are supposed to oversight the executive. That we have not learned, and it's something we struggle with, and that's part of the problem. I think moving forward, there are things to be done. One, if Parliament must seriously work on the trust deficit that we currently have. But secondly, and Njoki talked about judicial overreach, we had a colloquium with the judiciary recently, and I made the proposition that while the judiciary is free to handle Parliament in any way, especially when it's doing a quasi-judicial duty, please let Parliament handle legislation because there are inbuilt mechanisms. You can find us wrong later.